Hello, storytellers. I appear to be in high energy today. Hmm. Welcome back to Whispers from the Phylactery, where I like to discuss the art of running the game and storytelling in our favorite TTRPGs. I feel like I skipped that part of the hook. So, what are we here for today? We are here today to talk about something that comes up in every long running campaign sooner or later, and that's how to keep players engaged between sessions. You've probably experienced it yourself. You finish an amazing game night, everyone's buzzing, ideas are flying, and then the next session rolls around and the energy's gone. Maybe a player forgets what happened, or enthusiasm dips, or worse, you don't get to play, and now you're 2 sessions behind and everyone is starting to forget. It's completely normal, and life gets busy. But keeping that sense of connection between sessions can make your campaign feel alive even when the dice aren't rolling. So today, I'm going to be talking about why between session engagement matters, what actually helps players stay invested, and some practical tools and techniques I found over the years to make that happen without turning it into homework. But I suppose why you're listening to me, I'm a GM with 15 years experience, 15 plus years. It's just my opinions, man. But I find that sharing my opinions helps reinforce it for myself, and I'm hoping helps you guys. So, looking at part one, why between session engagement matters. So, why does it matter? The simplest answer is momentum. When people only think about the game for a few hours a week that they're playing, the worlds can start to feel distant. It feels more like a game. But if they're reflecting on it a little between sessions every day, they're kind of thinking about it every couple of days, wondering what might happen next, thinking about their character's choices, talking about it with others in the group or with other people. That helps keep the story alive in their imagination. That's where campaigns start to feel real and solid. When I think about my longest running campaigns, the common thread isn't that they had the best combat or the flashiest moments. It's that the players stayed mentally and emotionally connected to the story that we were telling. The players cared more about what was happening. They remembered the NPCs more, sometimes even more than I did. And they made predictions. They discussed theories. Tip, those are great to mine for information and plots. And as a DM or a game master, that's the kind of investment you want to nurture in your group. Not pressure, but curiosity that unfolds naturally. Because curiosity keeps people coming back to the table excited, even after long breaks. And it doesn't hurt that we can mine it for new and interesting ideas for the game. Like I said, steal their predictions. Maybe tweak them a little bit so that it's not on the nose, but I mean, if their idea was better than yours, collaborative storytelling. Section number 2, the foundations. And really, it's the basics. It is communication and it's clarity. If your players don't know when the next session is, what's expected, what's going on in the story, they'll disengage fast and it'll quickly become a roundabout of, well, what were we doing? Who were we supposed to talk to? Did we talk to that guy at all? Did we get our answers? Like, do we need to kill the thing with the thingy? And it's breaks down into who do we go, where do we go? Reverse those. So the first step to keeping people engaged between sessions is to keep communication clear and light. A few things that can help is post-session summaries. You don't have to write a novel, but a few sentences like, here's what happened, here's what's next, here's a reminder of open threats, or could be open threats. I meant open threads. This session you attended the banquet at the request of Lord Elmari, and learned of the growing threat to the west, where the Ochre tribes were mobilizing under a new banner. You promised your support, and journeyed to the small village of Thornbrook at the edge of the Lord's domain and got into conflict with some of the villagers who mistook you for someone else. Next session, you have to explain the situation to the local deputy and help prepare the town for the ogre horde, or you could evacuate its residents. And as a reminder, you're still not sure who owns the banner that the ogres now march under, nor what was the deal with the strange symbols one of the villagers in town had that you saw with a perception check. That's an example. Sorry, I didn't clarify that beforehand. Number two that might help. Thing number two. Session scheduling reminders. Almost blurred that up. Life gets hectic. A short message like, "Hey everyone, we're still good for Saturday?" Keeps the rhythm going. I try to do this 2 days before a planned session, if it's weekly, or once a week if it's bi-weekly, or it's monthly. Just like, "Hey, is everyone good for Saturday night?" And then the morning of, like, any last minute cancellations, are we good? If no one speaks up, I'll expect to see you all. At 6 p.m. And number three is clarifying expectations. Let your group know that engagement is optional, not required. You're inviting conversation, not assigning homework, because nothing will kill anything faster than feeling like it's homework. That's just how it works. Job, hobbies, life, social engagements. If it's homework, oh man, nothing feels as good as canceling plans and being comfy. So, really, one of the most powerful things you can do is to simply keep the lines open. If your players feel that they can message you with ideas, downtime actions, if you're in a state to do that, sometimes sessions ending cliffhangers in the middle of a dungeon, or even just jokes about the last session, they'll naturally stay more connected with the game. So, section 3, light touch engagement. So, the important part, engagement doesn't mean more work. That is where the light touch comes from. You don't have to run a 24/7 Discord server or write in character letters every night. The goal is to keep the world breathing, not exhaust anyone. There's a caveat to that. If writing letters every night is what makes you creative as a creative outlet that works for you, play at it. Do it, your DM will love it. But that's not a requirement. So, a few low effort, high return ways that we can do this and encourage this is post a question midweek. Something like, "What do you think the Duke is hiding?" If he was shady during the meeting. If your character had a day off right now, how would they spend it as they prepare for the siege? Where would they rather be? What's one NPC that you actually trust right now? You shouldn't always use that to backstab the party. Occasionally, not always. If they can't trust any NPC, they'll just murder everyone. That's the breaks. So these sort of questions can spark fun discussion amongst the group and remind players of what's going on in the world. Another way is to share a visual. I like to do this anyway, like before campaigns, during campaigns, anytime I see something. Maybe a piece of art that reminds you of a place that they visited, or a map sketch, or a song that you've come across. Even if it's simple, it helps connect and cement the imagery and invites the players to share things that they think might fit as well. If they were like, "Oh, here's a really cool song that I think fits," or like, "Man, when we were going through the quagmire of marshes to get to this village, I couldn't help but picture this one scene from a movie," and then they share the clip, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that is really cool." Um, Sharing builds connection. Next tip, so tip number 3, highlight character moments. If a player did something awesome or funny, mention it afterward. "By the way, that scene with the necromancer and the cheese wheel, that was funny. That was cool." Um, I'm For me, this is touchy. Like, I do give this advice, like, it's good. I'm of the opinion that, oh, that was so funny, lol, so random. It can work. I prefer to do the interesting parts of the story moments, less so the funny ones. I love Legends of Ventress as media content. If I was the GM, I might pull my hair out. uh, and then for the in between, you don't want to tie that to a mechanic. Like in the moment, tying it to mechanics with like Pathfinder 2, which is what I play most, they have hero points. Boom, hero point. Great. That was really cool. Good job. Um, but you don't want to do it so much where people start doing suicidal things to create these moments. Um, Another one, and sort of the last one here that I'm going to give, is in character journal entries. Completely optional, of course, but for players who enjoy writing, it's a great outlet between sessions. The party is resting after the day of helping prepare the fortifications. What does the character write in their journal? Do they share it with the GM, share it with everyone else? Of course, some players might not want to share it because it's like, no, these are my character's private thoughts. I wouldn't share it with you at this time. But later on, like you can, when we finish the campaign, you can read my journal of how everything unfolded. I think that'd be kind of cool. Um, Above all, the key word to all of this is light. The minute it starts to feel like an obligation, people will disengage. So keep it light, keep it playful. Just be like, hey, if you guys want to toss something in, great. Section number 4 here, downtime and world progress. So one of my favorite engagement tools is downtime actions. Downtime gives players a way to interact in the world between sessions, even when you're not all at the table. And I know TTRPGs use this, LARPs use this when they're bigger LARPs and they have like 4 events a year. So Epic or Conquest of Macedonia, they have downtime things that your characters do. They come in and then they check it off when they first arrive at the next event. They get bonuses. It, it's just a way to connect and keep the thought on the game. You can handle it through private messages, Discord, just talking in person if you hang out with your friends outside of that. Short little notes, or just a simple form if you want structure. Like, hey, here's a Google form. If everybody could just slot down what they want to do during the week, like here's a short answer thing. Like, I want to do this. Um, Different examples of this because some people get action paralysis. Ideally, they don't, and they have something that their character wants to do. But here are some examples. Like, I spend the week researching the cult symbol, or the symbol that um, the commoner in town had when they finally got to them. We're like, hey, what the heck is this? I'm going to spend a week researching it. I check in on the orphanage I donated to if it's more of a good aligned character. Or if you're a bard or a rogue, well, let's be honest, I carouse at the tavern and I look for rumors. Maybe it gets them a little extra something in the next session. We're like, yeah, so you did hear about a couple things. They don't all have to be true. They're rumors. None of these things need dice unless you want them to. The real goal is to show that the world keeps turning with or without them. Um, you can even send small updates back. Like you find a vague reference to the cult's name, the Morning Choir, or the orphans are safe, but the matron says strange figures have been watching. And recently they found a marking on one of the rear doors. It's minimal prep for you, but it gives more payoff and immersion for your players. Because what that says to your players is your actions matter. You impact the world. The story continues even when we're not sitting together, and it's alive. So, section 5, the power of player contribution. All right, sorry. One of the best ways to keep players engaged is to invite them to contribute to the world. This is something that Dungeon World does a lot of. Um, that doesn't mean, of course, giving them your notes. We keep our secret to make things fun and exciting. Um, but it does mean opening little doors. This is a big thing of our rules-based RPGs like Dungeon World, and it's something that I brought over, something that's good to bring over and just keep in mind. So things like you mentioned your character's mentor. What were they like? Jot notes down for an NPC later. Or you grew up in the city, right? What neighborhood in the city did you grow up in? And if you're in a bigger city, like we'll just use the example of Magnamar because I was thinking about it. Then it's like, okay, which district of Magnamar did you grow up in? And then they can create that district. Of course, trying like I'm trusting you guys to keep this realistic here. Not like, oh no, there was a dragon that lived down the block and da da da. Like, well, it depends on the world. High fantasy, maybe. Standard fantasy, maybe no dragon living in the city. Or what rumor have you heard about the haunted forest? And that can inform a side quest or something else. They can hear about it in passing later on, like a session or two later. If you just jot down these notes, then it can help them feel connected. Doesn't have to be big and stand out, but little things will matter. So every time a player adds a detail, they invest more deeply into the world, since now it's their world. You can also let them build between sessions. Maybe they design a tavern the party has arrived at. They sketch their own home base, or they write a rumor sheet for the location that they either came from, they're going to. Of course, the GM gets final say on this. Yes, our tavern has impregnable defenses, and it has 50 brothels, and da 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 da. Like, all right, let's try again. So, I mean, brain blurbed. I was just thinking of an example, and then it faded away, and now it's back. So, I had one group where the players took times. English is good. I had one group where the players took turns writing gossip of the week, just a few sentences in character about things happening around town. It was often funny, and it kept everyone chatting, and it built up this layer of community in the story that sort of kept everyone engaged and connected between everyone that was participating. So, I mean, it's just remembering that engagement doesn't have to come from the GM alone, it doesn't have to come from you alone. Players love it when their contributions shape the story, and after all, that's what we're doing is collaborative storytelling. So, section number 6 is don't force it. That's the most important point. I've sort of made it in passing, but really driving it in there. Don't force it. Not every group wants to be engaged between sessions, and that's okay. Some people come to the table for those few hours and play their heart out, and then they go back to their lives until next week or the next 2 weeks, and that's valid. Trying to push constant engagement can lead to burnout, both for you and your players. And if a player burns out, they're just going to stop showing up. The trick is to offer opportunities without expectation. It's like leaving the tavern door open. Some players will wander in to chat between sessions, others will wait until next game night. Both are fine. The heart of engagement isn't about productivity, it's about the connection. So I want to know how you keep your players engaged between sessions, how you keep the world breathing, how you communicate, how you offer light optional points of contact, questions, visuals, downtime, little sparks of imagination. In the end, you invite the players. You don't demand it, and that's it. Between session engagement isn't about running a nonstop campaign. It's about giving your story a pulse that beats quietly in the background. Hopefully not under the floorboards. If your players come back excited to see the next session and what happens next, You've done it right. That's the goal. If you're still here listening to me, thank you. Uh, Thanks for joining me today while I just ramble. Hopefully, it's more like a conversation between two GMs sitting at the table. That's what I'm aiming for. I don't know if I'm hitting it right. If I am, let me know in the comments. Or if I could do something better, let me know constructively, please. Please. But thank you for joining me today. If you found this helpful, please like the video. It helps with the algorithm. Consider subscribing for more videos or checking out my other talks on storytelling philosophy and campaign design, just the art of running the game. In the end, we're all just here to have fun. So long, adventurers.